Good evening, Californians. It's Friday night, September 10th, 2021. It's 9/11 Eve, and we are Red Star Report. This is Voices for the California Nation. With Lesser America's latest efforts to shred what's left of liberty and democracy, I probably will spend next week's Voices for the California Nation discussing what's going on with these new laws being dropped in the inbred, superstitious, toxic Superfund cleanup Fourth Reich homeland known as Texas. And, of course, the kangaroo court that's enabling it. But for tonight, I simply don't have the time. You see, for Californians, we're stuck in our own fascist American Trumpian train wreck of political cheating engagementship. In other words, California is just 4 days out from the Gavin Newsom Recall election. A monumental waste of time and money that, at best, will end up as little more than a $270 million exercise in RNC butthurt that most Californians don't want and didn't need. So, while a shrinking Republican Party turns the women of Texas into nothing but props in their tragic real-world remake of A Handmaid's Tale, and then rolls back voting rights to the KKK-approved levels of the 1950s, we Californians have more pressing issues on our plate. As a blatantly Republican evangelical partisan Supreme Court greenlights the rest of red state America to follow Texas's dystopian and, let's face it, California hostile lead, and that doesn't even scratch the surface of the crisis-level Texas-Florida red state super spreader response to vaccinations and mask mandates, or because the same red state rubes that clutch their pearls as they never forget the 2,977 people that died on 9/11, but don't seem to give a fuck about the 670,000 people in the so-called United States that have died in this, again, spiking COVID-19 pandemic. We don't have time to discuss this. As America gleefully covers itself in the filth of authoritarianism and descends into the 1776th level of right-wing fascist hillbilly hell, no, I got to take a deep breath and ignore all that for now. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I need to talk to you about this totally not funded by the Republican National Committee Gavin Newsom recall. I mean, not like it would have died without getting half the signatures needed for a recall if signature gathering hadn't been extended unethically by a crony Trump supporter judge or anything, right? I mean, not like there were other signature gathering initiatives going on at the exact same time, like, who knows? Maybe the last Cal exit petition that wasn't even given consideration for the same COVID-19 extension. It's not like getting those petitions out of the trunk of my car was the most frustrating, expensive, and wasteful run to the recycling center that I've ever made. So what's the real story here? With just 4 days left until the September 14th deadline to either vote or have your ballots postmarked, that's Tuesday, by the way. Californians find themselves, after almost 5 years of political exhaustion in the final Trumpian chapter, facing the most divisive and useless election in California history. On the day this recall is decided, Californians will have chosen whether or not we, as a people, will allow the political games played by American conservatives to cancel the landslide results of the 2018 election of California's duly elected sitting governor. And that is the real issue I need to discuss here, isn't it? Like Newsom or not, do we as Californians want this kind of cancel if you can political future? A future where we as Californians have to constantly suck it up and eventually play right-wing America's political games. The games that have literally gridlocked America and torn the United States apart and can only really hurt California in the long run. I mean, have you even asked yourself why this recall bullshit was allowed to get started in the first place? It was started by the John Cox campaign with a $50,000 donation, basically within days after he lost to Newsom in the 2018 election. No butthurt conflict of interest there, right? John Cox, a man who never held office in California and actually spent his entire life living in Chicago until he moved to California in 2011. Face it, if conservatives aren't playing games to politically damage California, and Newsom is the devil they say he is, why didn't they just save these allegations to run against him in the regularly scheduled 2022 election? That's just over 13 months away. And doing so would have allowed California to keep the $270 million wasted on this recall. But no. That's the tricky part. The American right looked at California, saw her suffering through the pandemic and struggling with wildfires, and decided that launching a recall would serve the American conservative agenda to hurt California and punish progressive Californians. An agenda we've been watching for years now, where the National Republican Party has been gerrymandering here, voter suppressing there, sowing chaos anywhere else they can, and that's the final answer. Inflicting damage in California was what America's political right wanted all along. This recall was, in the end, an attack designed to cause pain and suffering because we, as Californians, have politically rejected them. So what now? Well, for the good of California and for the political health of our nation state, regardless of your opinion of Mr. Newsom, Red Star Report urges you to vote with a resounding no on the first question on your recall ballot. And really, press everyone you know to do the same. If for no other reason, Californians need to send America's more fascist elements and their California collaborators a clear and undeniable message. Californians will not let them get away with gaming our California democracy. Not now, not here, not ever. If you don't like Gavin Newsom, you can always vote against him in the legit 2022 election. That is the honest way to do it, and the way California should do it. But with all that being said, I have to say, fuck the California Democratic Party and their arrogance on this. Please, for the sake of California and the independence movement, don't do what the Democratic Party is asking and answer one game with another by leaving that second question blank. The California independence movement needs to help establish California independence candidates. The California National Party in particular deserves for people to know they exist as a political alternative. An alternative that cares about California and actually has no ambitions outside of California. So absolutely vote on the second question too. The two candidates that support the idea of a free and independent California are longtime Libertarian candidate Nicholas Wildstar and California National Party candidate Michael Loebs. If you'd like more info on these candidates, go to the Red Star Report YouTube channel and watch last week's summit. Because even if it's unlikely that Newsom will lose the first vote, not selecting a candidate on the second will only help nightmare candidates like Larry Elder and John Cox, if Gavin Newsom actually loses. My Red Star Rebels, vote. Answer both questions. Do it quick. You only have a few days left. This is Voices for the California Nation. We are Red Star Report. Next up, Activism in Action with Shankar Singham. Take it away, Shankar.
What's up, Hal? What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us with another episode of Activism in Action. The only one activizing right now are these anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers that are out there protesting everybody. Oh my God, it's out of control. They're at city council meetings. They're at school board meetings. They're on the street. Last week, we showed you the video in downtown LA. And this whole week, it was just like every county board of supervisor meeting or any school board meeting that they were having, these people showed up and they were just threatening everybody, yelling and just, pissed off. I can't wear a mask at the Burger King, or I don't want my kids wearing a mask when he's at recess, or I don't know what their reasoning is, but they don't want to wear the mask and they don't want to get vaccinated. So it's causing all of us a little bit of a concern, but at the end of it, we'll see that it's actually probably better for society and the planet as a whole. And what do I mean by that, folks? This is what I mean by that. So this week, you had about 6 known conservative media hosts, radio media, podcast media, die from COVID. Sad day for I don't know who, maybe their own constituency, but their own listeners probably don't even believe that they're dead. So you have here, I'm going to list them off real quick, and I haven't heard any of these guys. Maybe you have. Dick Farrell, okay, conservative talk show host, dead from COVID. You have Phil Valentine, radio show host, dead from COVID. Mark Bernier, journalist and radio show host, dead from COVID. Robert David Steele, former CIA agent and now conspiracy theorist on radio and on a radio station. Robert David Steele, you are dead from COVID, sir. And that is not the conspiracy. You have Caleb Wallace, also another conservative radio show host, dead from COVID. And then this gentleman, interestingly enough, is not really in the media, but he is widely known in their circles. He's an activist for the conservative movement. His name is Presley Stutz, out of Texas. And he's also a Minuteman, means he goes to the border and shoots anybody that he deems unnecessary or incapable of coming into the U.S. He'll just bag him and tag him, right? So Presley Stutz, he actually got sick from COVID, went to school board meetings, caused havoc, got COVID, took ivermectin, stocked up on ivermectin, has like stacks of ivermectin at his home, took a bunch of that, died from COVID. So Presley Stutz, yeah. So you're dead. Joe Rogan even getting sick, not sure about the disease, not sure about the vaccine. He ended up taking ivermectin as well, realized that was a bunch of horse worms. No, I'm just kidding. He found out it was a bunch of horse shit and went right to the hospital. They loaded him up with a bunch of steroids and the antibody vaccine, where they put other people's antibodies in there, and he beat it barely, right? Joe Rogan came out of it, so he got it and beat it. Probably because not taking the vaccine. So all these conservative talk show hosts, all these conservative figures, these conservative senators are just dropping. And I feel bad because the real leaders in the GOP and the real leaders in the Republican movement, they've been vaccinated. They know what's up. They know this is a total lie. But then you have these people who believe them, like these radio show hosts who have a huge audience that they talk to, didn't know that they were bluffing. So there's a recent study that just came out too from MIT, and there was one that came out last November from Cornell, and it shows a direct correlation between voter type of voters, so who you voted for, and the COVID-19 cases. So this study was done with 100 counties, this MIT study, and they realized that the higher the percentage of Trump people that voted for Trump, the higher the number of COVID cases there were. So if you had a county that had 20% people voted for Trump, you had about 20% of the population that got COVID, right? If you had a county that has 60 to 70% voters that voted for Trump, you have a high 60, 70, 80% rate of COVID in that county. So there's a direct correlation with Republican belief and the people that get sick. Now, you could tell a Republican this, you could tell anti-maskers this. They will not believe you, folks. They will not believe you. They just impervious to facts, even if it's blatantly staring them at the face. It's what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, before we continue, this is a Republican disease. This is a disease for the conservative. It's a conservative conundrum. It's a right wing sickness. But so let's just give thanks, real quick, to what's been happening lately. Dear Delta variant, thank you so much for culling the herd. Your swift and fast and resolute actions of disposing of the evilness of this world is much appreciated by the rest of the planet. Ivermectin, you and the Delta are the two pillars of our heroes that are saving this planet from the stupid. We can't thank you both enough. We wish you the best, Delta. If we will sacrifice a horse dewormer, a worm to you, Delta, and we will hopes in that sacrificing of that worm from a horse that we will eradicate all, or if not very close to, these purveyors of evil. Thank you, amen, and God bless Republican Jesus and his AR-15. Thank you. All right, so I had to get that out of the way, just so we could go on to this next part here, which is, it is a Republican disease. It's very much culling the herd. It's Darwin's disease. It literally is Darwin's disease. It's culling the herd, yo. And there's enough Republicans that took the vaccine that there'll still be a Republican Party, but at least the purveyors of stupid their numbers are going to be diminished. It sucks, but hey, what are you going to do? You already tried bribing them. We've tried everything we can to get them the vaccine, but no thanks. And what about the GOP? What are they going to do? You have maybe there's not enough of their constituency that's dying off from COVID for them to care, because they keep up with the lies, and they never really counted on votes to win elections anyway. They're going to just gerrymander the fuck out of some district or pass some voter suppression laws and win that way. That's like they always have been. So whether or not their constituency is dying, I don't think they don't give a shit, and they will continue with the lie, even though probably every single one of them are vaccinated. So that's what you got, folks. That's what you probably have for the next couple of weeks. That's all I got for you. Hal, back to you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Shankar. Let's go to talking points. All right, it's time for talking points. And it seems we have a dealing with the angry right theme going tonight. So tonight we have a frequently asked question twofer, as we've been giving answers to the FAQ. Honestly, these two, in my book anyway, barely qualify as questions and usually say more to us about the asker than anything else, but still. These are the kind of things you will inevitably hear from more knuckle-dragging types in your discussion about California independence, and having an answer or two ready for these people qualifies as that old, the best defense is a good offense kind of scenario. But you'll understand this pretty quick as we get into these not quite questions. So, question. They'll never let California leave, right? hear this all the time. First off, it's always the they. They'll never let California leave. And by they mean America, the United States. You need to understand, the question ignores the very idea that the USA is already basically collapsing, because it's always framed from that "how dare you utter a discouraging word about dear old America" mindset. I should warn you in advance. This person is almost always a waste of your time, because they just want to start an argument rather than face a discussion about California independence where the facts will not be in their favor. Drama over substance is the goal for them. Whether you're working a booth at an event or at the Thanksgiving dinner table, people who hit you with a question like this just want to dismiss your point of view as unpatriotic. Talking point. Question. You know they'll never let California leave, right? Because that's the way it always sounds. You know they'll never let California leave, right? Rat? No, I don't know that, and neither do you. That's the answer. But if America, for some reason, won't let Californians create a free and separate nation, we stay. For now. We bide our time and fight to improve the rights and policies of California. And then we drag the rest of America kicking and screaming into the 21st century, so it becomes as much like California as possible. They hate that answer. You see, you just played into their fears that they're losing their country. And you're being okay with that turn the whole "don't California my America" thing against them, which leads us almost every time to the next so-called question. It goes like, you know, or either besides. If California leaves, the USA, America, will just invade. If California leaves the USA, America will just invade. Can't tell you how many times I've heard this. Hint. Remember what I said about this person being a waste of time? It's one of the reasons that when I hear one of the stereotypical right-wing patriot types do the love it or leave it thing, I like to respond with, "Cal exit. We choose the leave it option." Because this so-called question is the America as the abusive spouse question. I mean, love me or I'll hurt you. Does that ever fucking work? Walking out on that is always the best course of action, isn't it? I asked them, seriously, what is wrong with you? Are you that hateful and trigger happy that you want to see Californians die just because we don't see the world the same way you do? Because in that case, America invading California would make about as much sense as the United States invading Canada, because they have different opinions too. Are you really trying to say, with a straight face, that patriotic Americans like you would want the USA to attack California in the same breath where you actually question why Californians might not want to be part of the USA anymore? These fools need to work on their threats. Hey, way to live up to your violent stereotype, dude. Or, on another note, and they won't like this one any better, if California leaves, the USA will invade. Answer, get real. Think about it. The USA just got its ass handed to it in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. So maybe that military option against a peaceful emerging California nation might not work out as well either. You see, unlike those nations, California has the 5th largest economy in the world. with global socioeconomic ties where the rest of the G8 countries might condemn or even go against America for denying Californians the right to freedom of self-determination at gunpoint. Does that make sense? Particularly considering the USA's global influence is already in the toilet as countries turn to China for leadership. And can you ignore that 1 out of every 8 people serving as U.S. military personnel are Californians who may not like America making war on their homes and countrymen? Did you ever consider how much military hardware and software comes from or through California? And maybe most importantly, what about the way the USA has handled anything in the last 30 years gives you any confidence at all that America would be able to stop California from leaving in the first place, even if it actually wanted to? The USA will invade? Really? I wouldn't put my money on it. This is Talking Points. Well, that's it for this week. Check out our website, www.redstarreport.com. Transcripts for Talking Points will be posted there. Also, be sure to subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. I mean, really, can you just subscribe? For how many of these you listen to are not subscribed yet? Go find our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc., etc. I mean, really, because if you want a real California independence movement media group, it's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you and all our Red Star Rebels for watching. Have a great weekend. We are Red Star Report.